Hello everybody, I'm 13 and I'm going to be doing another video for Squirrel Dealer tonight. So this week is going to be fan favorites. Alright, well if you stayed through that, you're way better than me. And yeah, we're going to be doing a bunch of fan favorite decks this week. So to name them off, it's going to be Soul Sisters today, it's going to be 8 Rack tomorrow, which is going to be a little more akin to Legacy Pox. We don't have the awesome reserved list black cards, but we did get Nether Spirit. So going to be trying out 8 Rack with some of the new toys like Davriel. I think it's technically 10 Rack is the list that I've cemented on, but yep. And then Martyr Proc on Wednesday. So 13, what's the difference between Soul Sisters and Martyr Proc? So this might just be me. I mean, feel free to have a lively discussion in the comments if you'd like. But basically, Soul Sisters is using the actual Soul Sisters cards themselves, these guys. And they gain life one life at a time as opposed to Martyr gaining a significant chunk at one time. So we're not actually even using Soul's Attendant or Sarah Ascendant tonight. We're just going to be doing the good old Johnny Pridemate life gain plan. So yeah, we're going to be playing Martyr Proc again on Wednesday. Again, it's one of my favorite budget decks to recommend to just about anybody. But as far as tonight, it's going to be Soul Sisters. So, as I stated before, we're going to be playing Soul Sisters. Soul Sisters will gain life anytime that a creature enters the battlefield. So these cards look like bad top decks, but they're the entire engine for our deck. We basically just want to gain life. That's all we really want to do. Oriok Champion has actually done amazingly well for me in just any assortment of decks. Pro Black, Pro Red is just dandy. I don't use dandy all that often, but it's done fantastic every time that I've ever drawn it. Then we're going to be doing this on the Norn the Wary Genesis Chamber engine. So I think this deck originally previewed as a budget deck from Saffron Olive, but yeah, so Norn enters the battlefield. We will hopefully get a Mer token from Genesis Chamber. Then we attack, we flicker Norn, he enters back in. Every time that Norn leaves, which is basically going to be every turn, he's going to net us 2 life and get us a Mer token. And whenever either of those enter, we're going to gain 2 more life. And then we have cards like Archangel of Thune and a Johnny's Pridemate that'll actually benefit from gaining life in those incremental chunks. So Archangel will make all of our stuff massive with a bunch of Mer tokens. We can just take over the board. Or we do get... I put Archangel of Thune on here twice. I'm amazing. We have Mentor of the Meek, though. Whenever a creature enters, we can pay 1 and draw a card, basically anything in our deck except for the Archangel. So we can draw a card and then draw a card off the Mirror token. And then we have a Johnny Strength of the Pride, the new M20 card that allows us to automatically minus and get a Johnny's Pridemate. So we get additional threats that way. We get a plus to gain life equal to the number of creatures you control with all the Mer tokens. That should be pretty high. But most importantly, his 0 is if you have 15 more life than your starting life total, you can exile a Johnny and all artifacts and creatures your opponents control. So we can come down, basically clear the board, and that's the deck. Well, our opponent didn't accept yet. Anybody who's a longtime watcher of the stream knows that I haven't bothered to fix face cards yet. 3 cards in the sideboard are Wear Tear, but we're hopefully going to do some fun shenanigans tonight. Alright, this is a really good hand, but we don't have another land. So we're currently running 15, 16, 22. Yeah, this is fine. This is everything that we want to see in a hand. We have interaction, we have multiple Soul Sisters, and a giant threat, as well as another Soul Sister that's kind of a threat. Okay, Wooded Foothills, Jund, Panza, Jund, Hollow One, Hogak, or just Stock Dredge. We do get a lot of exiles with this. So hopefully we'll gain some life so that the Creeping Chill burn plan doesn't work. Exile is super good in the meta at the moment, which is part of the reason why I wanted to run this deck. But we're just going to play with a lot of fun decks. Alright, opponent likely discarding Bloodghast here, drawing into their land. Wow, all 4 prized amalgams. That's actually kind of impressive. If they have another Faithless Leading, I'll be super impressed. Look at that graveyard. That is beautiful from their side. Oh, that's sad. Well, plenty more where that came from. Oh, thank you. Thank you, Brad One. Insolent Neonate. All the triggers. Oh, I remember last time I played this, I ended up playing against that prison deck, and I was going to time out from needing to stack triggers. And there's a Vengevine. So, we're going to have a giant board we have to deal with here. Unfortunately, Winds of Abandon will exile everything, but it costs 6, and we're definitely choking on lands. Yeah, I mean, I didn't think this is how it was going to go, but we're on Soul Sister beats. Opponent's at 11. Oh, that's not great for us. Although they didn't have a 1-mana creature last turn, so... Alright, they got it. I need to always yes to that guy. Uriok Champion will be able to block prized amalgams for days. Sorry, opponent. I'm F6'd. Otherwise, I would have actually properly taken care of that. Yeah, let's actually take care of that. Because these prize amalgams are going to come back. And there's a Hogak. So, I've had a couple of Soul Sisters. What are you up to? Oh, look at all that life that's literally doing nothing for me. All right. I am at a fairly nice life total. I think we're at 6 days until... That can't be right. I must have watched that... Is Banned and Restricted announcement tomorrow? Alright, so I'm going to on thin ice my mountain because I care less about that. But we'll go ahead and tuck the Hogak, hit for 2, put opponent down. I'm not going to be blocking with my Soul Sisters. And this lets me get in some chip beats. Woo! Even top decking a Johnny here would be able to exile their entire board state, but I'd need 4 mana. Oh, look at that. So my Pride Mate's going to allow me to actually block prized amalgams now. Okay, well, I was going off what Saffron Olive said, and he said 8 days, but I was also watching his replay, so... Left 2 on defense. Genesis Chamber. I actually think I don't want to give my opponent Murs. That's sad, but I think that's the current state of affairs. So I'm going to continue staying on defense and just grow my Pride Mates. And now I can kill anything that attacks in, which means they're probably just going to swing in with Grave Crawlers. Man, both of these would be fantastic. Actually, I guess a Johnny's not that good yet. Because we drop below our nice, healthy 39 life total. Alright, so Bloodghast unfortunately have haste. A little surprised opponent had 2 Bloodghast in hand and didn't cast one last turn. I guess it couldn't attack in yet, but that still would have been pretty easy to cast. Why will only one have haste? When Wooded Foothills will crack, they both come in. I'm at 10 life. Is haste as long as an opponent has 10 or less life? Oh! They won't have haste because by the time that they resolve, will go up to 11. Good call, Brad1. Good call. That's spicy. I didn't even think about that. I'm just trying to figure out what my best top decks here are. I actually think I just really want a Plains. A Plains would let me Uriok champion, and that lets me get free blocks on just about anything and get in fairly well unblocked, as well as gaining more life to grub my Pride Mates. I mean, even if my opponent casts a Hogak here, I will have this guy as an 8/8, which means Hogak's going to be little versus the kitty. It's funny that the Menace has to take this hard to get past a couple of life gainers. There's a reason these decks are fun. I actually haven't seen Genesis Chamber do great. Oh, they're waiting to bring the Bloodghast back because they want to attack in with the prized amalgams. That makes sense. Although... Alright, well I guess we will figure out if you have Lightning Bolt or not. Oh, derp. My head hurts, and we have Rest in Peace. This is fine. Ruined Halo. Yeah, I think I want to name something there. Trims. Probably a Johnny's a little on the slow side, although it does say Exile each. Ghostly Prison's actually in here for this matchup. I don't know, maybe one a Johnny Trim. I don't want to actually see that many of them. Exile effects are great, although opponent's going to be bringing in sideboard hate. I'm not a huge fan of on Thin Ice. Thanks, Brad1. I always feel the love. All the things that say Exile are great. Maybe just the Genesis Chamber. Actually, it might actually just be all the Genesis Chambers, because they're going to have sideboard hate for artifacts and enchantments, and this is probably going to benefit them more than me, so like they'll just bring back Bloodghast and Prized Amalgams and blow up my Genesis Chambers. Sure, I like this. Dawn of Hope can create blockers, but Hogak has trample. Yeah, let's just do that. Okay, so we can exile a Hogak. We start our life gain engine on 1. I like these things. Field of Ruin will get us our red source if we end up finding Norin. Last game we did also have 1 land for the first 3 turns, so I actually feel like that would have been relatively easy if we didn't get massacred. I did keep a really gritty hand on the play, though. It just has all the right cards in it. Of note, Winds of Abandon is a sorcery, so if I want to stop them from casting Hogak, I might need to start removing creatures as early as this turn. Opponent has opted into Faithless Looting and just has pure gas. On Thin Ice is good. Means I get to remove 2 things next turn, which is probably going to be a Bloodghast and a Vengevine. On Thin Ice is a new toy for this deck. I wasn't necessarily sure about wanting to run it, just because it is sorcery speed. Path to Exile giving your opponent ramp is kind of bad, but when you're a grindy deck like ours, we're kind of okay going into the later turns. On Thin Ice, just typically the best use for it right now in Modern is to get Devotion count up, and we're not running Nykthos or anything along those lines. This does downgrade to sorcery speed, but it is also somewhat permanent removal against anything but Ghost Quarter. Alright. Shock means Bloodghast. Oh, lame. That's not fun, opponent. Does mean they don't get Vengevine here, though. So, do I want opponent to waste their turn dredging and killing my Soul's Attendant? Probably. And then I'm going to on thin ice the Bloodghast. Opponent's kind of far from casting Hogak here and potentially want to get Winds of Abandon up to clear the entire board. Which means opponent's going to dredge the Dark Blast. Found a Hogak. That's not great for me. My Soul's Attendant's going to die. Then hopefully they can't... I'm so confused. So last turn they let me gain a life off of the Bloodghast by doing Stomping Grounds before the Dredge. Oh well. So when playing this deck, you have to take note that Hogak requires a green or a black creature. The fact that opponent's been slow rolling creatures, I actually think I'm going to Winds Abandon here. Because... Actually, let's do it, but with Field of Ruin. Get my one of Mountain in case we find a Norin, which won't actually do us a whole lot of good at this moment. But now they need to have 2 black or green creatures. They do have a Vengevine that they're going to potentially get here, but odds are I'm going to Archangel next turn if I top deck a land, and then I can start getting ready to overload Winds. If opponent has a 3rd Lightning Bolt, though, they can just dredge, or they can cast the Dark Blast and bolt the Archangel. Alright, so they're getting back Vengevine here, otherwise they would have attacked first. A smart deck pilot probably would have gone for a Rip. No, we did have 2 exile effects. Wow, flashing back Faithless Looting. So we should technically be at 18, assuming that opponent actually would have killed our Soul Sister before bringing back Bloodghast and actually attacked with the Neonate. Pitching Assassin's Trophy. Alright, well, we have a plan. Let's run out Archangel and then hopefully overload Winds of Abandon when it matters most. Five mana flying lifelink 3/4. Pretty decent. Nothing opponent has should have haste except for the Vengevine, but they get free beats with that. At least for a turn. After we gain life once, it'll grow. Here comes the Gak. And no land. Interesting. Alright, I'm at 16. Opponent currently has 16 on the table. But we're just so good at this game. Let's go ahead and attack in. I can't imagine opponent has anything here, but just in case they have something shenanigan-y for red. Your deck looks fairly stock. And boom goes the dynamite. Opponent only needs to make a land drop though, and I guess they can't cast Hogak yet, but they're really close to rebuilding. Those guys won't have haste, so we have opponent on a 3-turn clock. That is a good note, Bradwan. 2 basics is all that they got. So our Field of Ruin is live as a strip mine. Path is still a live draw. We use both Winds of Abandon, but ouch. Ghostly Prison's quite good. Means opponent's going to have to make some decisions on if they're actually going to attack or not. Although I still wouldn't put it past them to be holding an Assassin's Trophy. They discarded 1 to Faithless Looting. Yep, and that's it. On Thin Ice also gets really bad with the Assassin's Trophy because they can just blow up the land and get both and their creature back. Yeah, I don't think anything really changes. I think we just want to actually keep them off their plan as much as possible. They are on the play, though, and they have a very explosive deck. Oh my gosh, do I keep this? Chat, do I keep this? I have 2 pro-black creatures that gain life, an Archangel and a Johnny. That means Vengevine's going to get in until I get to Archangel, but when Archangel enters, everything gets +2/+2. Oh, wow. This is... I thought the first game was greedy, but I think that this is the greediest thing. You don't like it? Alright, I think we look for Rip. Yeah, this is better. Darn you and your responsible mulliganing. I'm actually going to get rid of the Sunbait Canyon here. I'm happy to actually get up to 5 lands, and I have multiple plays that I care about, so I get to be as conservative as I need to with this hand and still try to draw into more lands if I draw something expensive. I don't think that sentence made sense. My brain is a little fried, though. Alright, they found a Vengevine and a Bloodgat and a Gravecrawler. Do I Soul Sister or do I get ready to path this? I don't know. Opponent's actually kept some really greedy hands. I think I'm going to go on the Soul's Assistant. Yeah, Bradwan, I think your line is correct, but I'm kind of thinking that it's possible I can get to Rip before opponent actually decides to explode, and this will at least gain me a little bit of life. I can always still have up Path or just Ruined Halo and call Vengevine or something. I do have a couple of different options here. Alright, there's a Carrion Feeder. So, opponent's getting back their Vengevine. It's a bold move, Cotton. Let's see if it pays off for him. It didn't. Let me tell you, it didn't. Although, it's possible opponent actually Gax here. Opponent could very well Hogak. In which case, Path. Yeah, Path still would have been better. Alright, well. Nastiness here. So, Ruined Halo on Hogak, Path the Vengevine. The opponent won't be able to... they'll just sack it. So, Ruined Halo on Vengevine. Put Hogak in the yard with Path. Sorry, I'm trying to think through my lines here because if I actually take like 12 this turn, it's possible that I get them to sack the Hogak to the carrion feeder, and then I can rip next turn. If I try to Path Vengevine, they'll just sack both these two creatures, double cast Gravecrawler. What does Pridemate actually get me, though? So it'll get me up to 3 life, and it'll make it so that they don't cast this Gravecrawler. I can Pridemate, block the Vengevine, Path Hogak next turn, and then rip. That leaves them with a giant Carrion Feeder that I can name with Ruined Halo and a couple of Gravecrawlers that can die to anything I top deck. I think that's the line. Because Pridemate will just make it so I can Path and Rip next turn, which is going to get rid of the most of my opponent's board. Although it's not looking great. Not looking great at all. So if I take the beats, it means that I'm going to be taking 15. Yeah, that's actually not that bad. And then Pridemate will be reasonable size. Although Dark Blast Bolt, cry and die inside. That actually kind of helps. Means I can Path Meow. Unless this is a Bolt. In which case I'm a sad panda. Okay, just the Gravecrawler. Alright, I block Gravecrawler, it just goes to the yard. I Path Carrion Feeder so that the shenanigans go away. Actually, I think what happens here is I just block Vengevine, Path the Carrion Feeder, Rip, and Ruined Halo and Hogak. Then I only have to deal with the Gravecrawler. Thank you, Assassin's Trophy. You gave me enough mana to actually fight you guys. Preferred the Carrion Feeder in the yard. So that reads to me that either A, they don't plan on casting another card this game, or they have another Hogak that they're going to try to cast. And there's a Soul Sister. Alright, we'll be able to rebuild after this. So there's the Rip. Ruined Halo. On the Gak. And Gravecrawler beats. I guess they can hardcast another Vengevine next turn, but I'd love a Mentor. Rip. Okay. I need a Path then. Look at that. Okay, so I can not do anything productive with that. So I can Pridemate, but then I'm still going to be taking 10 damage. I can... yep, alright, opponent, you got it. GG's. You have a really good deck. Looking forward to August 26th, just a little bit. I don't know. I felt like we actually interacted with them. Yes, their deck was significantly stronger than it should have been, but Like, we were able to deal with the graveyard. We were able to call something with Ruined Halo. They just happen to have the right cards. At least it's not something like Tron that's just so polarizing it feels bad. Alright, this hand doesn't do anything according to its own game plan, but it has interaction, and I like interaction, so why not? Let the bad decisions continue. Next turn gets to be a Pride Mate. We're basically going to do some removal check, or we're just going to get Thoughtseize. That works too. Blackcleave Cliffs means Jund, Hollow One, Hogak. Opponent's probably just like, what the F is going on over here? Also known as, why in the world did you keep that hand? If there's a Seasoned Pyromancer or a Plague Engineer in our future, we're probably just a little out of the realm of good things happening to us. And yeah, that's mildly unfortunate. Opponent doesn't know about the Snow-Covered Plains in hand. Also looks like we either registered a limited deck or a standard deck. I don't know. On Thin Ice. Johnny's Pride Mate, I'm pretty sure was in Theros block with Chained to the Rocks. And it looks like it's actually Mardu Death's Shadow. Although they would have taken a shock off the Godless Shrine. Skelemental. Well, lucky for you, we have our slow interaction cards. Opponent knows about the mountain, doesn't know about the additional planes. We'll hang on to the On Thin Ices because I'm expecting Dreadhorde Arcanist and Thunderkin Awakener. Although odds are this goes very south very quickly. Thunderkin Awakener, we're pretty much just going to scoop it up. Okay, regular PZ's fine. Thoughtseize. Yeah, honestly, that's okay. It's not an Unearth. Unfortunately, though, opponent's going to have Plague Engineer, and almost everything in our deck is a human. And opponent also has 4 cards in hand. I don't think opponent can interact with their lands, though. They might have Stone Rain in the board. More than likely, though, it's a Fulminator Mage. Yep, they're seasoned. Discarding another Seasoned and Lingering Soul, so their hand is stacked. Sure, if you blow up a land, you get everything. I don't know what our best top deck is. It's probably a Johnny. We can make it a Johnny's Pride Mate. That will just get lightning bolted. Faithless Looting, discarding more Lingering Souls. Another Fatal Push. Okay, well that's kind of a fair card. Unfortunately tells the opponent about it, so they'll bring in Disenchants, but they're also probably bringing in Disenchants or FU Snow-Covered Plains cards. But this really brings up an important question. If there's 2 layers of Thin Ice, is it really Thin Ice? Or does it become Thick Ice at that point? Ouch. Look at that. There's an Ajani. So I'll gain 1 life if I plus Ajani, which means I'm going to get myself a heroic little pride mate. Then opponent's actually going to have to shoot removal at it, which feels kind of okay. The pride mate token. It looks like a naked cat. I mean, he's got a belt on, maybe pants. Not really sure about that. Unearth Unskelemental. Alright. Probably going to try to kill a Johnny since hitting us won't make us discard anything. Although it does get our life total low. So do they have the bolt? I'm going to let it go, but if they have the bolt, we dead. Yep, they got it. Okay. Sideboarding. Rest in Peace is a definite consideration. This stops. They shouldn't have Bedlam Revelers anymore, but it does stop Lingering Souls. It also stops Unearth. Ruined Halo is mildly interesting, but I don't really think it's worth it. Core Firewalker is probably a consideration. Just gain some life in Pro Red. Dawn of Hope to grind out feels fair. I honestly think we're just on the Genesis Chamber plan, which feels bad because they have K commands. What do I actually want to trim? Do I want these Dawn of Hopes? They can't really kill Norin. Champ's fantastic. Winds will hit all their little dudes. I like so much of this. So Dawn of Hope's probably not coming in. I don't know. Is that the Genesis Chambers then, just because it can get K-commanded? We're going to have more non-tokens than them, but that still means that they're Young Pyromancer and Seasoned Pyromancer and Lightning Skelemental all create Murs. We need that life gain, though. I think we have to be susceptible to K-command. So let's trim in a Johnny. He's a little bit expensive. Archangel's almost impossible for their deck to remove without multiple burn spells. Maybe just trim a Norin and only bring in 2 rips. Go down a On Thin Ice because it doesn't hit Skelemental. And they might have Stone Rain. Sure, we play like that. We play the fun, fair game. Darn you, red card! Alright, well, we're on the play, which means we're going to make a 2-drop, and then we're going to make a 2-drop and hold up Path for the Skelemental. Field will also fix us for Norin, and we have Genesis Chamber, so we have our combo. Unless Thoughtseize takes something. Typically, when playing against things like Jund, Golgari, Mardu, you just want to make sure that you have a high number of cards in your hand. You don't really want to mulligan something specific because it won't stick around anyway. If I were opponent, I'd probably take the Genesis Chamber. It's going to be one of the hardest things for them to remove. Norin's also actually a consideration since you can't kill it at all. You have to like stifle the trigger if you want to kill it, which requires another trigger. I actually don't even know if I've ever killed a Norin. Hollowed Moonlight has killed a Norin. For a little while, I was running that in Modern when people were trying Rally the Ancestors in Modern. Took the Genesis Chamber. Okay, well, they're going to have removal. I'm just going to go in on the Pride Mate for Meow. It would probably be better form to go Soul's Attendant and hold up the Path, but I really just want to have a Path ready for the Skelemental, and opponent's going to have removal and or discard anyway, so the Pride Mate's not long for this world. May as well just do most efficient mana. There's a Fatal Suiting, so this actually might be Unearth. You can't play around everything. Assuming this is Unearth, probably going to get rid of Norn and Field of Ruin, just because I can't cast it, and as much as I like lands, I like having things to do. Okay. Mildly surprised with that one. Ooh, me likey. Me likey a lot. So this is coming down. It's hard for them to kill with anything but Path, and I can't imagine they're running Path post board. So it can get discarded. Again, attacking with Pride Mate, see if they want to try to answer it. They only know about Path and Norn at the moment. Basic Mountain. That's a bolt. Why'd you kill my kitty? Oh well. We have the real hoser right here. Still mildly weak to Skelemental, but whatevs. You do you, opponent. There he is. Trample is going to get over this guy for 5. At this point, since I actually have a life gain engine, I'm going to get rid of these two. I'm going to plan on Norning next turn and just leaving a card in hand. Take them off white. They're probably just going to go get a Plains, but at least try to make it a little harder for them to do what they want to do. There's Norin. Sequencing here is Norin's going to exile himself when I attack, so he had to come down pre-combat. I suppose we'll see if they have a path. Probably would have done it in response to Norin, though, so I think we're clear. No! Alright, well, that's game. We just can't get around that. Just about everything we have is a human. Yeah, even Norn died. That's impressive. I guess that's not quite game yet, but still not a good position. I was going to scoop there, not going to lie. There's a Peasy. There's a Bolt. Yeah, so now I gain 2 life because of that sequencing. Aha! Okay, so maybe we are still in this. My bad. I lost hope early. I did not have faith in the Soul Sisters. Ryok Champion should keep Pyromancer at bay. We'll probably start eating tokens when they get to like 4 or 5 of them. Either that or they're just looking for an unearth for the Skelemental. Or for the Plague Engineer. Oh my gosh, Skelemental's been on my mind. Archangel of Thune's going to be a little expensive. They'll discard it out of our hand. Johnny is pretty close to coming down and doing something productive. The Johnny's Pride Mate will come down as a 3/3. I like that. Now we're playing on fair terms. You don't get a graveyard. You're still going to draw a lot of cards, though. I just want to say yes. There we go. Opponent discarded Fatal Pushes and Faithless Looting. So they should have at least 1 removal spell still left in hand. Kind of okay to see that. Means that future Johnnies are live. Opponents likely going to start getting in with their tokens and their Seasoned Pyromancer now, just because I can eat a token, but I'll still be taking 5 damage. That's not good. Taking a shock. Tear. Alright. You got it. Ouch. Eating a token. It prevents 1 less damage than blocking the Pyromancer, but takes a full threat off the table. We are 2 lands away from overloading Winds. Well, now we can cast Archangel. Just sticking Archangel make Uriok Champion a 2/2. I think the Angel has become our best top deck. Clock's getting pretty intense though, so if they attack in, we're still going to be taking 5. Clearly have some action in hand. They're about to cast something. So 2-turn clock. That's not good. Should have done that pre-combat though. So I'm taking 8 here, which means top decking a Winds of Abandon would keep me alive and actually clear their board. Or I try to top deck into anything that is 4 mana or less. I think I'm on try to redraw. Oh, that's a Pride Mate. That'll at least keep the Plague Engineer back. That would have been a really good draw last turn. He would have been a 3/3. Would have kept back Seasoned Pyromancer, would have made it so that the Elementals couldn't get in. Alright, blocking this now. This does have Death Touch. Also makes future Soul Sisters live, although I'm dead if I only top deck a Soul Sister. I think I need Angel. Rip. Alright, GG's Mardu Pyromancer. This is one of the matchups we're going to struggle with. They just have a lot of removal, and we require a lot of pieces to be going off at a time. Alright, well we moved to 0-2 to the Hogak and Mardu Pyromancer. Would have liked to have seen a Mentor. I was actually really considering putting a 3rd one in the deck. I also wanted a 2nd Archangel, but there's only so many slots, and a Johnny was basically a perfect fit for this deck. There was also some consideration about making the On Thin Ices into Lightning Bolts, but Lightning Bolt just really isn't positioned very well right now. We did see how powerful it was versus Hogak just being able to take a recursive threat off the table. But if we play something fair, these little white weenie decks pretty much grind fair decks into the ground that aren't Mardu Pyromancer. Okay, this is, we're on the play, Sundebate Canyon. It's going to cost a lot of life. We can't actually cast this on Thin Ice, but we have an engine, we have some life gain. I'm down. Ouch. Your go, opponent. And it appears to be Jund. That's a decent draw. I like seeing that. Get in our beats for 1. Mentor's probably coming down next turn. Mentor's going to eat some removal, but Actually, this might be elves. It's not likely, but it could be. There's a Bob. Okay, I want to make my 3-drop next turn, so we're just going to path Meow. I don't want the opponent to draw. On Thin Ice will actually get it back. And now opponent's going to have to answer this Mentor. It shouldn't be hard. They're Golgari with 6 cards in hand. Treetop Village. So yeah, pretty much Golgari confirmed. Jend actually really prefers Raging Ravine. Man, I need a creature. I'm actually going to sack this looking for a soul creature. That's wins. So I'm mildly concerned that opponent left up black here for a path and they need Revolt to kill my Mentor. They're going to find a fetch land eventually, though, so I'm just going to go ahead and go for this right Meow so I can swing in for 3. Not finding a Soul Sister was pretty brutal there because this is going to be our card engine. This is how we're going to end up taking this. As soon as they get a Tireless Tracker, it's going to go downhill really quickly. Okay, so no removal yet. That doesn't seem very likely. Oh no, opponent might be flooding out. They hit all their land drops. That's a Hexdrinker. Pretty sure that's only protection from instants. So if they level it up 3 times, I can still take care of it. Level up is a sorcery. Sweet. Alright, opponent is looking like they're really on some loose cards here. Not like they're poor quality, they just don't have what they need to actually be winning this. Well, Norn's going to be a life gain engine. We get to exile you. That was actually a misplay. I should have Norn first because I was going to draw a card. Okay, another Mentor means we're really good here. If they find a way to answer the first one, then I'll just play out the second one and I can potentially draw 2 cards a turn. And this is why I was saying we typically beat fair decks. It is nice that our opponent has whiffed on removal, but okay, well, land there means it's not Tireless Tracker, and that's about the only card I'm afraid of at the moment. That's fair. It's only when it dies, though, so it doesn't affect Norin. Aw, rip. Alright, well that's a lot of lands. I'm just going to draw here. I'll take beats from Kalitas. I think we will win this long term, so I'll happily just draw a couple of times. Oh, we found another Norn. He's basically worthless. Eventually we'll draw into an Ajani. Hopefully be above 35 at that point. Floating a red here makes the opponent think that I'm doing something potentially in red. I'm not going to be casting anything at all, so oh, you don't want me to draw? Cast something. Just going to field again. Okay. And there is wind, so I'm casting a spell here because I can't attack into the Kalitas and I want Norn to flicker. Norn comes back, we gain some life, we draw a card. That's pretty good on thin ice. I've also kind of represented to opponent that... Oh, that's sad. I don't have a basic mountain, though. Sometimes that's a popular deck building consideration because people care about basics for Blood Moon. Get rid of Kalitas. Then I'm going to save this until opponent actually gets a creature I care about. They're probably going to start attacking in with their treetop villages. Although, given the fact that they have zombies, who knows? They might actually not. This Ghostly Prison's going to be expensive. If they're paying for their treetop villages, they'll have 4 mana. This does hit for 1 more. You got it, opponent. Soul's Attendants aren't blocking, and opponent shouldn't have anything to actually surprise me. I'm an idiot. Norna could have attacked the previous turn when I ended up casting Ghostly Prison. I could have left the mana up. That should also be telling an opponent there that they've got to at least leave something back to block with. They shouldn't be able to swing in for the full amount. And I should be gaining 2 life if they even attack. I'll gain 4 life if they leave no blockers. Funny enough, I think we're winning this race. That will do something. I'm going to get the red source here. I don't think there's anything I actually want to cast, but I'll get the red source. Worst case scenario, I can just recast another Norin. Norin's red for gain 2 life here. Really surprised that they haven't had another actual threat, though. It's only been Kalitas and the Goyf. Yep, leaving the zombies on defense. That's cute. Alright. And yet another land. Jeez, I could be getting a Maria value at this point. Cast Norin. Exiles Norin. Norin enters. By not attacking there or casting anything, I do actually lose out on 2 more life, but they can just eat my Soul's Attendant, so that's not going to happen. I just want you to cast something, opponent, like a Goyf, a Tireless Tracker, a Hex Drinker. Actually, maybe not a Hex Drinker. A Hex Drinker would actually hit protection from everything. That's a pride, mate. That's a threat. An opponent has no cards in hand, so this is going to be massive. overload should replace target with each. So yeah, that actually would work as a board clear, wouldn't it? So you're probably correct. Hex Shrinker would still get 8 by Winds of Abandon. Opponent's fetching to thin. Always a strong position. I really need to yield to that second Souls of Ten. It's so hard when I'm already yielding to the first trigger, though. Opponent found yet another land. They can't attack in. Attacking in not only gains me 2 life, but makes a Johnny's Pride Mate a 8/8. Oh, look at that. We even have a backup. That's going to make this Johnny's Pride Mate the 8/8. That means Norn's coming back. If opponent blocks with both Treetop Villages and both zombies, this guy will die, so I'm going to wait one more turn. I guess I could technically wins here, but I like having it as removal in case something else comes up. But basically get an alpha next turn, and opponent's fully in chump block. Bye, Norin. Opponent does get a redraw. Casting the spell bomb also flickered by Norin, though, so. They did use 1 Maelstrom Pulse. My Golgari list runs 2, but 1's in the side. I know some lists run the full 2 main board. Oh, for a second I thought they had it. I guess Lily could actually kill Norin too, if Norin's the only creature on the table. And Lily's already out. If I'm opponent, I actually might be tempted to plus here, because I've been holding a card for a while. Bye, Soul's Attendant. Alright, well my Pride Mate isn't as big, but whatever. Still respect. I get a redraw. That's another Ghostly Prison. Do I nuke the board here, make them lose both Treetop Villages, send Soul's Attendant at Liliana, and opponent might actually just take 7? Overload. Then opponent gets all the basics. I think I'm so far ahead here, I'm just going to attack opponent. Attack opponent. They can trade most of their board for my smaller Pride Mate. And then I'm actually probably just going to discard this Ghostly Prison. Because opponent has to plus here, and I'd rather keep the wins in case I actually draw something decent. No! Just like that, opponent's kind of back in it. Clifftop. So many freaking lands. Alright. So I send both in at opponent. I eat a Treetop Village. Treetop eats Soul's Attendant, then I wins it. But then I have to sack a Johnny's Pride Mate unless opponent casts something first. I don't like that. Whatever, let's just eat a Treetop Village. I have so many good top decks. Like, even a Johnny right now will just clear everything out of the way. Get me another Pride Mate. And if this were a path, this would be a completely different game. I'm not liking not having 4 paths. Like, these On Thin Ices did work, but that doesn't mean that they were good. Hopefully opponent just minuses Lily and doesn't have something, then that way Norn can eat it. No. All right. Well, that cleared the way for Lily to kill the Soul's Attendant. Oh, didn't want to do that. Fair enough. Top decking removal is lethal. That's actually fine. So this is going to attack opponent, and this is going to attack Lily. This will give them the opportunity to eat the Soul's Attendant, but it'll also keep Lily kind of in check. And it's very possible opponent doesn't want to go to 1. I'm really trying to bait them into the line, though, where they just eat the Soul's Attendant and try to get me to sack the Pride Mate. This might be greedy, but I'm just trying to push my position. Yeah, they pretty much have to block this Pride Mate. All right. Then if they drew a land, they're just dead here. They have to cast something to have Norn flicker himself. Then they have to minus to get my Ajani's Pride Mate and chump with Tree Trop Village again. All right, that did it. Okay, so Dawn of Hope 100% comes in. They do have Assassin's Trophy for it and probably Nature's Claim post board, maybe in Force of Vigor, but being able to draw cards is how we get out of this. Rest in Peace is a consideration. It stops the trigger from Kalitas. It also shrinks Goyf. They don't really have the recursive threats that Mardu does, so I'm not overly inclined with this one, but Ruined Halo can stop a Liliana sacrifice effect as well as a Edict from her ultimate because it can't target us. It can also make it so that we don't take damage from Goyf. It does nothing versus zombie tokens, but it can also shrink Tireless Trackers, although if they get Tireless Trackers and they just draw a lot, they're going to find the removal for it. I honestly don't think I want to change a whole lot. So Ghostly Prison can probably come out. We're going to get to top decks, and it's going to go long. And so that's a pretty easy trim for the Dawn of Hopes. The 1/1s are fairly bad top decks, but they help our synergy a lot. I'm not overly stoked about the On Thin Ice. I think I'd prefer the Rest in Pieces, just because they worked, but when they actually can bring in enchantment removal, it's just a temporary measure, as well as Assassin's Trophy being a 2-for-1. So, sure, let's do that. This is Path their turn 2 play, 2 Dawn of Hopes, and something that's pro-black. I'm game. So they have to take the champion here. They also might take Path if they think that they've got a bot that will draw them out of it. Dawn of Hope is very, very good against them. I actually wouldn't be surprised if they take anything but Norin, but they really should take the Uriok champion because they're not going to find a way to kill it unless they kill it in combat with a Goyf. Yep. That's a card we wanted to hide on top of our deck, but what are you going to do? Without the champion, Soul Sister's fine here. Alright. Opponent's getting their grind on. Since we don't have a creature and this is significantly less safe in our hand, let's get a Dawn of Hope out. I'm expecting a Lily from our opponent this turn, which is probably going to discard our other Dawn of Hope since we don't have a life gain engine. And then that Lily's really going to tax us. So, hey, no Lily! Would you look at that? Ooh, this is probably going to help opponent more than us. But it's mana efficient. Let's do it. Opponent should not have K command, so this Genesis Chamber should be hanging around for a while unless they have Force of Vigor. Then I just gave them a second target. Alright, what you got? This looks like a Bob. But given this mana base, I'd assume it's a Kalatos. Well, they know we have a path, so they opted out of whatever they were going to do. I'm going to be making a token instep more than likely. Collective Brutality, Duress Mode. So that's going to clear the way for the path to exile, and then they're going to make a 2-drop. Okay, well, opponent knew our hand. That's a Hex Drinker. Yep, get your Myr. Opponent left up the mana. I should have waited until instep, but whatever. It looked like they were passing. Snow-covered plains. I'm 100% trading the soldier with the Myr to draw a card. Because this is how we're going to win. That Genesis Chamber feels so bad. It costs 4 to make a token, so this Genesis Chamber is probably coming down despite the fact the opponent's got 3 cards in hand, so they're likely going to slam a creature here. Opponent also knows our hand now, so I could have tried to bluff a path or something. It just didn't really feel worth it. If we find a Soul Sister, we're going to gain a ton of life and just start drawing cards, and we should explode. I do want to check that. I think that this works for, yep, if a non-token creature an opponent controls. So if they have a Kalatos, we're not going to get wrecked. It's going to be bad, but we're not going to get wrecked. No attacks. Interesting. Bold strategy. Rip. Alright, well, I'm going to make a 1/1. Because apparently that's life. I could rip here and shrink the Goyf. I honestly don't think that that's going to help much. I have some life total to pad. And this can always just chump block a Goyf and draw me a card. Who knows? They might not realize that this is sorcery speed. I think Brad1 made that mistake once or twice. Tack in, eat it with the 1/1 draw card. Oh, I can't draw yet. Sad panda. So this actually might just be create a token, eat all the damage, try to swing back and draw 2. Oh, don't pulse me. Rip, 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 rip. Get in. Get in. Get in. Lame. Well, opponent officially got good use out of our Genesis Chambers. Ouch. Such ouch. Such wow. Alright, well, between Force of Vigor and Pulse, I really don't want to run out any of my duplicates of this stuff. I really wanted a land. 6 mana with that activatable ability is so important, but I'm only on the table for 6 right now. Alright, well, you should take Norin. Yep. So awkward. On Thin Ice or Winds of Abandon, I think are my best draws here. If I get a Winds of Abandon, I'm 100% eating the Hex Drinker. I don't care about the Mers. Okay. This means make a token, draw card. And then I'm on exactly Winds of Abandon to get out of this. Lily. Okay, well, that's not a 6/6 pro everything. I'm okay with that. Given the fact we have 6 mana, I'm discarding the Rip. If they answer Rip, we can still win this game. If they answer Dawn of Hope, we're probably not going to get there. Leaving the Mers on defense. Okay. Well, opponent is technically the beatdown here. They should be alphaing in every turn, especially when they know our hand. But that's fine. Look at that. We're so good at this game. We even drew the backup Rip. Alright, well, I'm done taking damage here. You get a lot of basics, opponent. Sorcery on this is a little painful, but you just cannot beat that value. Opponent has an active Lily. I'm going to be slamming a 1/1 lifelinker next instep. And I have a draw engine. I've been in worse spots. I could actually see winning this. Still super far behind, but I could see winning this. The opponent can get in with Hissing Quagmire, or at least block with Hissing Quagmire. Yeah, that's bad. So, I need... I think Archangel is probably my best draw then. No, Lily will just make me sack it before I can attack. Mentor is not bad, but again, Lily will make me sack it. Alright, well, Scooz doesn't do much but block. Oh, I know what I need to draw. I need to draw Ruined Halo. Did I ever put it in? I did. No, I did not. It's right there. I'm blind. So, likely going to lose half my permanents. Plains. Oh no, opponent didn't actually do anything last turn, so they must have gas in hand. Yep, you got it. I'm also more of a fan of doing this post-combat because you know I'm going to try to draw a card with my lifelinker, or at least have the option to. If you're planning on attacking, you might want to see what I draw off of the Dawn of Hope trigger. Especially because I think opponent knew everything in my hand. Ouch. Oh, I need to activate that. Yep. Well done, opponent. Well done. I understand your sequencing now. I think this puts me on dead, or at least puts me on eating Lily's ult. Alright, so I'm taking 4. They're down ticking, but that gives me 2 turns to find an answer to Lily. We don't have another Dawn of Hope. I'm probably going to likely draw a 1/1 for 1. Kalatos, sack Archangel. That does it. They're going to get a token off of that, and then I'm just dead on the backswing regardless of what I top deck. Do I want On Thin Ice? They definitely had the Assassin's Trophies. The Ruined Halo would have been a good top deck there, but I think that's results biased. It's not good in most situations. I think we just need to have a draw that isn't 3 rips, 2 Dawn of Hopes, and no action. Like this. This is fine. We're hopefully going to gain a lot of life and actually just turn a Johnny on by turn 4. Opponent's also going to have discard. This gets around Inquisition. I'm going to put the May one out there first just so I can always yield to it. This also might just be a push. Nope. We'll see if they have the removal or not. If they have removal, they'll take a Johnny. If not, they'll take Pridemate. Look at that. This time, they don't actually discard it. We put it on the top of our deck like a boss. So, yeah, we're good at this game. I'm so proud of you, Soul's Attendant. You got in for one. So I want to land in the next two draws, and I probably want another Pridemate in the next two draws. Just because Pridemate's going to be massive. Johnny 0 is exile him and each creature and artifact your opponents control. Doesn't hit Planeswalkers, but that's fine. Look at that life gain. I'm actually thinking about holding this one. That should have meant that I Field of Ruined, but that's fine. If opponent's on Maelstrom Pulse, they can hit 2 Soul Wardens, which I think is kind of bad. But if they're not on Maelstrom Pulse, then the Pridemate next turn is going to be horrible. Yeah, Soul Warden's coming out. Bob. Alright. I like to gain life, opponent likes to lose it, but we both like drawing cards. That's cool. I don't want to activate Field of Ruin because it'll fix opponent here, but Johnny's going to come down, make a Pridemate, and this game should be really working out for us. And I am going to alpha. Opponent's life total probably doesn't matter, but the Dark Confidant is not going to get traded for a Soul Warden, so may as well get in free beats. And honestly, who knows? If they don't ever find green, then Uriok Champion might get the last chip points in for whatever Bob loses for him. Rip. So they can push and attack a Johnny. Maybe should have left one of these back. Okay. Opponent's being conservative. That's fair. Well, we're gonna do everything we can. Look at that. Look at those triggers. That is delicious. Make our land drop. This is fine, right? They could have Collective Brutality, but that's about it. Yep, they're doing a defensive Fatal Push, which means this guy should still be alive. The consideration was leaving back a Soul Warden to protect a Johnny, but if they find a way to answer this Pridemate as well, then the Bob's going to be a liability to them, and we're still going to be gaining a ton of life. Plus, we can always 0 Johnny if he survives. Anything hits the field here, and we get a 0. No, it's a last hope. You have successfully killed a Soul Warden, and I am personally offended. But we draw Champion. Alright, well, I do need to be aware of Damnation at this point, but I really want to gain the life, so we're doing this. Undo. I want to pay red for that. We are a white deck. I'm bad at this game. I'm really bad at this game. Alright, exile all blockers, kill opponent. Not gonna lie, that was pretty sexy. I wish I could have cast the Norrin, but that was pretty sexy. Norrin would have gained me 3 life, making this a 10-10. And Soul Sisters did go the distance there. So Mardu Pyromancer was really rough. They just actually had the removal for it. Jund was trying to be a little bit more on the efficient creatures as opposed to the go wide strategy. Yeah, Mardu hurt, but Jund wasn't that bad. Hogak, we were actually really close. I mean, Bradwan, you're around for that. You could probably speak to it a little better than I could. But we ended up hitting rips and halos, and we got good cards. We just couldn't close it out. Their deck is really resilient, though. All right, well, here's Fingers Hope for another fair deck. Well, we don't have Norrin, but we have Life Gain Engine, so... And a redraw, if it comes to it. 2 redraws, if it comes to it. So many Blood Crypts these days. Alright, so opponent should be taking Genesis Chamber here. Unless they're Hogak, then they'll probably just take a Soul Sister. If they're nice, they'll leave us the non-conditional ones that we'd have to figure out how to yield to a future one. Alright, they left us with one. I'm actually thinking opponent's train of thought there was they're going to have another discard to take Genesis Chamber, which means we just paid dividends. Or this is a Wrenn and 6. Wrenn and 6 is actually quite mean against our deck. I hadn't put that together yet. If this is at last hope, we're kind of in trouble. If it's a Lily of the Veil, I'm kind of okay. Oh, this is Jabberwocky. He's actually a really good Legacy player, if I recall correctly. Ouch. That hurt a lot. Like a whole lot. That hurt a lot. Alright, you get the other Genesis Chamber. You know our hand. It's a Mentor versus a Goyf. Never mind, it's a Goyf versus some Sunbaked Canyons. The Pain. This was a very good card. The Pain. Yeah, that's actually a card. Sacking the Sunbaked Canyon after they can't have discard. Actually, am I? I might give it a turn for a Archangel. I can actually cast a Johnny if he comes down, so I'm sacking it now. That's a thing. Well, opponent doesn't know about the snow-covered plains, so Pridemate comes down. It's probably going to die. Actually, Pridemate's on chump block duty. And I have to leave Champion back in case there's a Bloodbraid. That's a good Goyf. That K command, though. Ouch. Probably actually would have had a fair shot at this if K command didn't hit the Genesis Chamber and the Soul Sister. Alright, well, we're F6'd. Again, not going to crack the Sunbaked Canyon. I can't cast anything if I draw into it, and they could potentially have discard. Opponent only has 1 card in hand. Actually, am I going to chump block? It puts me dead to Lightning Bolt and K command. But my Pridemate could potentially grow out of range of this Goyf, depending on what I draw. Alright, well, I think opponent stepped away. I am going to see what they are known for. It's Logan Nettles, so it is a pro player. Alright, well, I'm putting myself to dead Decay Command and Bolt. If you got it, you got it. Okay, another Goyf I can kind of deal with. That hurts a bit. Alright, well, Mentor. Likely on Shump block duty. Should have sacked my land. I was too busy trying to figure out what they were known for. I'm actually a little curious to see what they prioritize a little higher, which is why I'm making this block. Yep, cares about the Pride Mate. Makes sense. And the Raging Ravine, I think, puts me dead to just about everything. Especially if I chop deck planes. GG's. Alright. Let's do this again. So, last time I didn't like On Thin Ice, although I think they only run 2 Assassin's Trophies now. So, it's less likely that they hit our lands. I did end up bringing in Rip, although, yeah, they have K commands. I'm more inclined to have their Rips now. Genesis Chamber also is starting to feel a little bit like a liability. Ghostly Prison's bad. I think this is what I did last time, and that looks right. I don't love it, but it's decent. I'm going to take 2 damage off my lands, which hurts, but I can draw into Soul Sisters. I also get a redraw, and you just want cards against these decks. The opponent's likely going to Thoughtseize me, take the path, and then push the Pride Mate. But I'll have my engine on the table, or at least part of it. Alright, looks like Lotta Jund, The Rock, Sultai, Blue-Black Control. I think if they're on Goyf 2, I want to make this play. It's not as strong, but if opponent had discard, they would have led on it. And that's a painful red and 6. Okay, well, I'm going to take the ramp. This never feels good, but this at least lets me draw into something a little bit bigger to deal with the red and 6. Because so many of my Soul Sisters are bad in this scenario. This is a good card. And they officially killed Norin. Logan is a very good Magic player. Alright. That hurts. We're going to sack this dude. Yeah, we're about to move on with our lives. Get wrecked. Ta-da! Played around discard like a champ. This Field of Ruin doesn't even do anything because Ren and 6 will just pick it back up. I guess that would have been a reason to run out the Sunbait Canyon, but I did want the opportunity to draw into a Archangel. Although Lily will just make me kill it at this point. If he calls human, we're done. We're super donezo. Yep. Alright, top deck. Genesis Chamber. You got it. We're not getting through that. Any of our big threats are dead. Any of our small threats are dead. And Plague Engineer is going to make it so our Soul Sisters don't stick around. Alright, well, yeah, that was a really good showing from Jund. Like, super good showing. We do have a really decent shot of winning those, but I think Ren and 6 hurt that a lot. And Ren and 6 has been putting in work. Overall, though, I think I would prefer to go down to 2 on thin ices and have 4 paths. Like, I think that is a requirement. I like having 6 exile effects. It's really shown some strength with opponents' big bombs. Johnny has been an all-star. He costs just a little bit too much, in my opinion. Like, this deck can work on limited resources, but we have multiple activated abilities between Mentor of the Meek and the Dawn of Hope. So I think the 4 is kind of significant, and it's not as big of a threat on its own as the Archangel is. Yeah, I don't think I can keep this. It doesn't do anything productive on its own. This is probably okay. I'm going to have to tuck the Ghostly Prison and hope to draw into a Soul Sister. I really just don't want to go to 5. We're also on the draw, and we have 8 opportunities to find a 6/6. Alright. 8 opportunities to find the 1/1 that gains us life. Got Martyr Proc on the mind. Okay, Misty can mean any number of things, but at least in our scenario, Norn gets to come down. Okay, it's looking like blue-white. So we need to find some of the cards that are actually good versus blue-white. Oh, no, it's infect. Oh, no, this is a Saffron Olive Soul Herder deck. Alright, well, they get infinite turns relatively quickly, and I'm not going to wins this because it just ramps them. This does feel like an opportune for On Thin Ice, though. Because I will actually wins the Soul Herder, but I don't want them to get value for just slamming something here. Johnny needs to make a kitty and put up a clock real fast, though. We can eventually minus a Johnny, assuming we find a life gain engine. But we don't have the pressure required to beat this at the moment. Alright, so the fact that opponent didn't lead on a land drop makes me think they might be looking for one. Revealing Ephemerate, so this deck confirmed. They did find a land. Okay, well there's some life gain. And found a Codal. Alright, well, opponent, you got it. You get to start comboing off. It's going to be a bit before I find enough mana to Winds of Abandon Overload, but I can at least make a 2/2 that will get stonewalled by a Codal. Alright, well that has Flash, so alright, little Soul Warden, I want to gain 11 more life for this Johnny. Make that 12, I have to pay one here. But I'm going to gain 1 from the cat entering, so 11. Actually, I might just be plussing here. Opponent's not going to put a Johnny under any pressure, so I can just start gaining some life with this. Although it's only 2 at the moment. What's higher priority? Gain 2 life? Fortification. Okay, you got it. I am back up to wanting 11 life, though. Although Johnny's gone, I need to find a second one. Well, if you get out your Ewet or your Soul Drinker, and I get 6 mana, I kind of can do things. Yep, ouch, the pain. what does this mean? Do I want to fire just one of these off? If I fire this off at the Codal, it takes away a blink target. They probably have another Ephemerate coming up. I knew that they had the Force of Negation. Did they actually exile? I should have paid attention to that. Alternate cost. And of course it doesn't tell me what it paid alternate cost for. Alright, well, I think we just wait and try to clear their board when they actually commit to it. What opponent's going to try to do here, though, is get an Ewet onto the table and pick up Time Warp at the very end. Otherwise, they're going to have an engine going where they just keep blinking these creatures that either draw or pseudo-draw in the case of Oracle. Path on Wall of Blossom. So they probably have the Time Warp in hand. Okay, well, there's the Ewet. Ewet picking up Ephemerate. Return it to the battlefield. So anything they Ephemerate's actually going to re-enter. But they can pick up Force of Negation. So I really just need to draw a land here. If I don't, I still just need to hard fire this Winds of Abandon at the Ewet. Okay, well that's a start. That'll be more life gain. Cast at you. You Ephemerate to counter it. The reason I cast Soul Attendant first. Picking up Force of Negation. So they're going to have Force of Negation ready. My hope here is the fact that they don't have a blue card in hand. Otherwise, it might be really hard to win from this spot. Pitching another Codal. All right. So if I pick up a Archangel of Thune and an opponent can't answer it, my creature should be bigger than anything Soul Drinker gets to do. But as soon as they find Time Warp, they're infinite. Correction, as soon as they find Time Warp and a Soul Drinker, they're infinite. They have a lot of turns right now, though. So they untap, go to their next turn. Probably pick up the Force of Negation. Oh, I think this loops. It's just over 2 turns. Well, at the moment, they still can't kill me. They're hitting for 2 and making me gain 2. Really running down their clock? It's such engaging television, but like they need to find a way to finish out the game. Actually, they're making me gain 4. I'm actually gaining life in this process. I don't know. right, chat. What's the verdict here? I mean, they technically loop, but their loop is making me gain 2 life. Yep, keep it going, opponent. I'm gaining 4, and you're burning time. I honestly don't know. So this is the Saffron Olive list, where eventually they're going to get a giant soul drinker, or soul herder. I think it's soul herder. Yep. So eventually, as they're flickering these cards, they end up getting a lot of counters on the thing, which will eventually be deterministic. But because I'm on Soul Sisters, I'm gaining a lot of life, and I'm actually netting 2 life every loop. So they're just burning their time and continuously looping, which, I mean, it's their right to do, but until they find a payoff, they're just going to continue this loop making me gain life. So, like, I'm doing what I can, but until they actually get their payoff, there's not much incentive for me to try to do anything to break this. Okay, well, that makes it a little easier. Now we're life neutral. I'm gaining 1 off of Norn and 1 off of Ewet every time that they ephemerate it. It's just really hard to pretend like this is engaging television for Twitch, though. Like, opponent also made it so I don't have to stack my triggers. This is just going to make their clock worse. So painful. What opponent should actually be doing here is flickering a Coiling Oracle and then an Ewit, because they do get 2 flickers for every time warp. Then that way to draw them a little bit closer to their Soul Herder. I mean, I guess they're going to be attacking for 3 now, so I'm going to be going down 1 life point, but I mean, now they're killing me? I suppose that's a thing. But I'm also at 51. Okay. Opponent figured out how to kill my Soul Sisters. I think at this point I'm supposed to let them run the clock out just for min-maxing. But I understand that I'm dead. I don't know, this is rough. I actually want to see that opponent's on Soul Herder, because if this is literally just a time warp loop, then this gets shut off by Rest in Peace. So I want to see a payoff so I know what opponent's actually trying to kill me with. They've gone through half their deck. There it is. Okay, there's a Soul Herder. You got it. Rest in Peace, 100% coming in. Ruined Halo, probably coming in. And as far as cuts, Johnny's a little bit on the slow side and also gets Force of Negation. In fact, it's probably just going to be a Johnny's for rips. And we can probably take out a number of paths because that ramps them. Although I need to kill Soul Herder, and this is one of my few instant ways to do it if they start comboing. Winds is slow. Clearing their entire board is so appealing, but they're also on Force of Negation, so maybe it's just that. Ghostly Prison also seems fantastic here. Ghostly Prison would have actually done pretty good work. Sure, we can submit like that. Dawn of Hope's a really good grind engine, but this isn't necessarily a fair matchup. They are trying to do unfair things. I think I'd prefer things that actually just gain me life over Dawn of Hope. I don't know. Johnny's tempting, but I need a real clock, and the real clock's going to be something on the lower end. Oh man, that was painful. I can't believe how long it took him to get a Soul Herder. I'm actually curious now. So if I pull up Seth's list, which I think is the one that 5-0'd. Not what I wanted. Pant Soul Herder. There's 4 of them. Okay. Sideboard is Celestial Purge, don't care. Disdainful Stroke, don't care. Night of Autumn might be the only thing I kind of care about. Interaction, life gain, card draw. This is not a real clock. Is this worth mulling for? Yeah, I think I actually want to try to find a rip. This didn't change, like, at all. Alright, well, I don't want to go lower. Tuck the Field of Ruin. They don't really care about their mana sources at all. Soul Warden. Their deck is also very light on 1 and 2 drops, so I think this on Thin Ice is going to rot in hand for a moment. Sorry, 1 drops. 1 drops. They have 2 drops. Words are hard. No! Turn off auto yields. I want to do something on my turn. I drew a Genesis Chamber. I want to play my land. Genesis Chamber actually might help them. That actually might have been a cut. Because they're going to flicker things and get Murs with it. Is this going to be a Spell Pierce on my Genesis Chamber that's probably going to benefit them more than me? Because if it is, I'd be so happy. Alright, expecting Coiling Oracle. Yep, there it is. At least at the given moment, I'm going to let them keep the Oracle. I want to Mentor. And I really want to grab the Soul Herder on the following turn, so... Best use of mana, make the 3-drop. Alright, well, Ephemerate would have protected it anyway. I like to gain life. Do you, opponent? Because I do. There's the rebound, you get a lot of Murs. Yeah, this feels like a horrible matchup. We don't put up a real clock and we actually actively help our opponent, but whatever, it's fun. Look at this board state. So next turn I get a Soul's Attendant, gain multiple life, get a couple of Murs, draw multiple cards. Watching for Tomorrow actually helps them find their combo pieces because Hideaway looks at the top 4, I believe. Might be 3. The lands do 4. But I really want to grab the Soul Herder if I can. Alright, well, more removal. This is going to let me draw 2 cards, though, to try to find a land for one of these on Thin Ices. Ouch. That's not cool, opponent. I thought we were here to have fun. Or is that just me? That might just be me. Put it on the mountain. Take the Watcher. Here comes the Ephemerate. Yep, you got it. I still have to go for this Watcher, though, because it sees the most cards. And attacking doesn't do me much good here. Opponent's just going to trade off Murs, and yeah, that really doesn't help me. Look at all my triggers. I think the thing I want to rip off the top most of all at this moment is a Ghostly Prison. That seems fair, doesn't it? Mega just said they can't attack. Because look at that nastiness. Oh, that is so nasty. Well, they have a Force of Negation, so Ghostly Prison's not going to do the distance. I also have 8 cards in hand, and I'm empty-handed and behind on board state. And there's a Soul Herder. So I have to draw a removal, and I have to be able to get through the Force of Negation. Alright, well I suppose some of this is on me for wanting to have fun. That's actually going to be a massive Ajani's Pride mate, so it might be on opponent to find a removal now? Yeah, I'm not attacking with that. They just get a chump block for days, though. Yeah, I think I am out of outs, but I'm willing to give it a couple of shots. Oh, now that has Death Touch. Yeah. I'm super dead. I almost put a Felidar Sovern in here for funsies, the one where you win the game with 40 or more life. I almost did it. But was like, no, I want a third Ajani. Ajani's a decent card. Alright, well... I'm going to make a big Ajani's Pride mate. I think that's what I'm going to walk away here telling myself. That Force of Negation is killing all of my hopes and dreams, though. This is another Codal. That moment when your opponent's like, I kind of want to alpha. Well, sure. Let's do that. Actually, at this point, my opponent might deck before they can kill me. I honestly wouldn't put that past them. I think we do actually have a shot of winning this. Especially if they go on the infinite turns plan. Because this Soul Herder's not going to be able to get in. Although they'll find a path for the Pride mate. That's fun. Alright, well, not attacking, so I can block. Go on, opponent. Take those lands out of your deck. Oh, this is ridiculous. And Ephemerate. Alright. Opponent, you have my respect. You're going deep. In fact, so deep, I'm actually yielding to your triggers, too. I need a fling! Why don't I have a fling? If I had a fling, they just Force of Negation it. But still, like... Is that not what you want to do in life? Ewit, shenanigans begin. Pick up the path. Oh, alright. I actually think they might have to path the Soul's Attendants here. It's not like I can get in with a Johnny at all. And they kind of need to stop the life gain. Yep, they went after the Soul Sister. So much for giant pride mate. Oh, that's not good. That's really not good. Second Soul Herder. You don't have mana for that opponent. Yep, not much of a point to get in there. It's going to be so funny when they start flickering Murs to not mill. So they might have an Echoing Truth. I really wouldn't put that past them. Bounce the Ghostly Prison. Alright, second Soul Sister down. You want to do that on my draw step, though, in case I was going to draw the land. More Murs! This actively is helping opponent at this point, but I think we're past trying to win. If we're going to win, we're going to win off of mill because they don't have an answer to Ghostly Prison. Either that or they're going to flicker E-Whip, pick up Path, eat a Johnny, and then start attacking in with the Soul Herders. Which are fairly massive. Like, a couple more triggers and these things will be in the ballpark of like 5 turning me. Alright, there's the Time Warp. Opponent's infinite. So they are still flickering draw spells. Like, I think they haven't realized that they have the win on the table. Either that or they are drawing to something specific. But like, if they just continue drawing, then they might not be able to kill me fast enough. Flickering the Mur will mean that they're not taking a card out of their deck. I'm currently dead on a... So 12, 7, 4... I'm on a 4-turn clock, so yeah, they have a little bit of time. But I'll make sure they have it. If you are watching the replay of this, you should probably just skip ahead. Like, this is going to be a bit. Opponent's got to figure out how to get around the soft lock, which is Path of Johnny and start flickering Murs. Honestly, if I let opponent try to kill me game 1, I really could have had the timeout kill here, but that just, it's not fun. Actually, I guess they only need to target 1 Mur. I just want to see if they mill out first, because they clearly don't seem to understand how to actually win here. Alright, so assuming they attack in with these 3, that's 27, 30. So I'm dead in 3 turns, and they... It's a little hard to mess up at this point. But they're still drawing cards, so I really don't want to put it past them to punt this. If they do punt this, they probably will time out in game 3. Look at this board. Okay, it looks like they are targeting the same Codals now. Oh, no, they're not because they're discarding multiple cards to hand size. Ah, there's the Ghostly Prison. All right. They had a deputy. GG's opponent. Little sad that they actually got that out because they clearly didn't understand how to pilot through that. So looking at Soul Sisters, we did get a couple of new fun toys. The three missing images there are actually wear tears. I still haven't bothered trying to fix flip cards. We did end up going 1-4, which is a little unfortunate. I don't think we're ever going to beat the new Marty Pyromancer. They just have too many pieces and it's too hard to interact with. The Uriok Champion is really good versus their deck, but they also get access to white and discard on turn 1, so it's a little hard to consistently get it out there and actually have it matter. Ren and 6 killing our Soul Sisters was pretty brutal. The fact that I had a couple of sorcery speed removal spells in there also hurt. On Thin Ice is a really good card, and not many decks can interact with it, but it also meant that I couldn't kill a Soul Herder at instant speed. It also meant that I couldn't interact with my opponent when I had mana up. Lightning Skelemental really hurt for that exact reason. I do think you want to go up to 4 paths. Either way, though, like Soul Sisters is a fun one, and it's definitely a budget deck. There are some non-budget considerations in here, but for the most part, the shell is relatively cheap, and it's fun to play. We did have a lot of really interesting board states, like especially that last one there. We did struggle with combo, though. When I try to run Martyr Proc, I try to run Thalias just because they're so good in the meta. It also probably wouldn't hurt to hedge metagames a little bit and maybe run Rip's main board, similar to what Blue-White Control's doing, just because we did end up playing multiple decks that cared about their graveyard, and Rip would have been pretty good there. Our cards are not overall high quality, though. A better draw engine could definitely be a consideration. If we end up lowering the curve and potentially take out a Johnny, I almost played this with Experimental Frenzy. So there's a little bit of playroom there. Overall, though, I mean, Soul Sisters is always a fun deck. It's going to be a pet deck, and it is definitely part of Fan Week. Woo, fan favorites. Yeah, terrible. Either way, though, I am 13. I play a bunch of fun decks for a site called Squirrel Dealer. If you have a fun deck or you'd like me to review one of yours, kind of just help brew it, feel free to send an email to decks@squirreldealer.com. We'll happily take a look. We do have at least 6 months of history on YouTube. Go ahead and check out Squirrel Dealer on YouTube. We should have a hard link here in just a couple of days, probably. I do content over on my schedule there on the side. Brad One does it on Tuesday and Thursday. If you like our content, the Squirrel Dealer staff account is always hosting our stuff, as well as other streamers that do cool things. And if you would like to reach out to us directly, you can hit Squirrel Dealer on Twitter or me directly at Reddit. And thanks for sticking around, guys. We are doing fan favorites this week, so tomorrow night should be 8 rack, which is a little bit more Legacy Poxy, and then Wednesday is going to be Martyr Proc. But thanks for sticking around, and I will talk to you all later.